Good morning. It's good to be with you as we gather together today to continue in our time in John's Gospel. And I realized as I was looking at our rooted yesterday that I skipped a section, and I'll tell you why it's funny how I skipped a section. I am preaching on this text this coming Sunday in worship, so my brain had been reading sections to. I've been actually reading this text a lot recently, and I had in my brain had connected it together, and I kind of got the two readings I was doing kind of confused. So I jumped ahead because I thought, oh, I've already read this, I've already done this. So let me skip to the next section without having actually done. I have a sermon written on the text, but I just don't have a I don't have a rooted written on the text. So I apologize for having skipped verses 27 through 36 because in my brain I'd already done a rooted on them instead of a sermon. So anyway, so I hope you like these texts because if you're at St. Matthew's, you're going to hear part of these texts preached on. So anyway, so let's read the passage I skipped over yesterday, John chapter 12, 27 through 36. Now my soul is troubled. And what should I say, Father? Save me from this hour. No, it's for this reason that I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven. I have glorified it and will glorify it again. The crowd standing there heard it and said it was thunder. Others said, an angel has spoken to him. Jesus answered, this voice has come for your sake, not for mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be driven out. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. He said this to indicate the kind of death he was to die. The crowd answered him, we have heard from the law that Moses remains forever. How can you say the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is the Son of Man? Jesus said to them, the light is with you for a little longer. Walk while you have the light, so that the darkness may not overtake you. If you walk in the darkness, you do not know where you are going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become children of light. So, um, so it was interesting in the readings I've been doing for, like I said, the sermon I'm working on, how interconnected verse 27 is to verses 20 through 26. Because when we go back and read 20 through 26, remember we talked about that, how the Greeks came to Philip and Andrew, and they took them to Jesus and these things. Whoever serves me must follow me, how you must hate your life and all that type of stuff. Um, so, um, verse 27, as after Jesus finishes teaching about this and how you must serve him, and it says, now my soul is troubled. Um, in which does say, Father, save me from this hour. No, it's for this reason I've come to this hour. So Jesus now realizes that the hour of the cross has drawn near. And for him, what indicated that the hour had drawn near was the fact that now people are coming to him. These Greeks have come to him. People are hearing his message. His name is spreading. So Jesus now, because of these things happening, understands that the time of the cross has come near. And he says, my soul's troubled because I know now what I must endure. And then he says, so what should I say? Save me from this, Father? No, I came for this. So we see Jesus, the Gospels show us a clear picture of Jesus' struggles. He knew what he was going to do. He knew what he must do. He knew the reason why he came. But he also said, my soul here is troubled. He prays in the garden, take this cup from me, but not my will, but yours. We see Jesus embracing the call the Father has for him and the purpose he has come to die for the sins of the world, to redeem, restore the world. He knew the reason that he had come for. And then he says, verse 32, when I'm lifted up, I will draw all people to myself. He said this to indicate the kind of death he was to die. And so he says that when I'm lifted up, and so I think this verse, when I'm lifted up, I will draw all people to myself. I think this verse gives us two ways to ponder this. First, when Jesus is lifted up upon the cross, when he is crucified, um, he draws all people to himself. Remember, we've talked about how we believe that Jesus came for the sins of the world. And so when he is lifted up upon the cross, when he suffers upon the cross, when he goes to the cross in this act, he is drawing all people to himself. So the cross, the sacrifice, the atonement that he will do in the coming moments after this conversation that he has here, um, this begins the process of drawing people to himself. And I think about the fact that it's ironic to me that the cross, I mean, you look behind me right back there. There's a cross in the background. If you look over my office, you're gonna, I mean, if you look, see there's crosses everywhere behind me. I've got 3 crosses right behind me. Then I've got an icon of the crucifixion over there, and I've got an icon of the Trinity over here. So you see crosses all over my office. The cross is a sign of peace. I mean, how peaceful is it when you see a cross somewhere? Crosses are attached to tombstones. They're all over our churches. They are a sign of peace. Well, in the Roman world, that was not the case. Cross was not the sign of peace. The cross was the sign of Roman intimidation and Roman fear and Roman, we're going to show you who's boss. So we see here that Jesus is saying that when he's lifted up, when he dies upon the cross, he will draw all people to himself. So that's definitely what he's talking about here. But I also do think there's a practical understanding now that when we lift up Jesus, not just upon the cross as he was then, but when we lift up Jesus, when we glorify Jesus, when we point others to Jesus, when Jesus shows us the path that we are to walk, when we point others to Jesus, when we lift him up in our life, in our praise, in our worship, in our conversation, when we lift up Jesus, that draws people to him. In this world we live in this world that is often called post-Christian, where the church is losing favor, where people are no longer as religious as they used to be, when people are no longer attending church like they used to, when the amount of people in church is going down, when people are becoming more cynical towards religion. People are cynical towards religion. People are cynical towards the church. People are cynical towards us as Christians, without a doubt. Studies show that. But no one's cynical towards Jesus. People are still drawn to Jesus. They're still drawn to his life. They're still drawn to his message. They're still drawn to his truth. They're still drawn to his teachings. People are still drawn to Jesus. When he is lifted up, when he is lifted up, he draws all people to him. So that's our job as the church, friends, is to lift up the name of Jesus. That's our job as the church, is to point others to him. That's what we're here for. And when we do that, he will draw all people to himself. He will draw all people to himself. So our mission today, with wherever we find ourselves, in our work, in our play, in our religious life, in our secular life, and all that we do, our job is to lift up Jesus and to point others to him. Verse 36, while you have light, believe in the light, that you may become children of the light. Now there's light. There's light in Jesus. When we lift him up, we draw people to him. So today, we live in a world where people lift up a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we try to lift up in our life, a lot of things that we rely upon for salvation. Really, a lot of things that we think really matter. But friends, only one thing really matters. Only one thing really matters. And that's Jesus. That's Jesus. When we lift him up in our life, all people are drawn to him. So today, that's your homework. That's your homework. How will you lift him up? How will you lift up the name of Jesus in all that you do? In your work, in your play, in every facet and part of your life, how will you lift him up? Because his word promises us, friends, that when we lift him up, he'll draw all people to him. So let's do that. Let's lift up the name of Jesus. Let's point to Jesus. Let's show others Jesus. In our words, in our social media, in our comments, all that we are. Let's point others to Jesus. Let's lift him up, and he will draw all people to him. So lift high the cross, lift up the name of Jesus, and watch what he does. Thanks for being with us today. Hope you have a great day, and tomorrow we'll return to verse 44 in our chapter 12. Have a great day. See ya.